September 3rd, 2018. I'm 15 days out from leaving from Melbourne. 5 days out from going down to Blackstone for the Virginia State Lumberjack Championships hosted by Scooter Coger. Today, I'm not really sure what I'm going to do. I'm just sort of heading out to the farm to finish splitting up my wood pile and edging up my trainer. I may end up testing it. Really, videoing an edging process is, again, that's all trial and error. Grinding is a different story because a lot of people need to see step by step. But edging is the same thing. It's step by step. Start out with a coarse diamond stone to cut the edge, and then you work your way to a medium, and then to a fine stone, and then you finally use a cutting whetstone like a Frictionite's the easiest ones to get on the internet. They're most abundantly available. They're about $200 a piece, but they're a heck of a lot cheaper than a Norton, a red and black Norton, which go for anywhere from $800 to $1,000 a piece. But the Frictionite, you start out with the green side, and then just keep the edge uniform, and then finally you use the fine side of the Frictionite, and it should be okay after that. I like to use a ceramic extra fine stone in order to continually hone the edge while I'm training with it, like cut a half a log with it and then hone, polish the edge even further with that at a steeper angle. One of the things that most people don't realize about edging is that we have the very, very point of the axe, the very, very fine edge, which is what is sharp. But often this is kind of hard to explain without graphs and stuff, but the grind on the axe may be 14 degrees. However, the final edge may be as much as 28. It may even be a little steeper, shorter. The longer you make the edge, the stronger it will be, and the tougher the type of timber you can cut. The more abrupt the edge, I have found that the better it cuts softer wood. And that way you can go with even a finer degree, like a 13-degree bevel. There are multiple edging techniques, just as there are multiple grinding techniques, and it all comes down to trial and error and what works best. You just have to, honestly, buy some China heads, buy some key steels, buy some, heads, and play with it until you figure out what works best in any given timber. If you're, like, for example, we're going down to cut woolly butt at the Royal Melbourne Show. Woolly butt's a stronger timber, however, you can use a thinner axe. I can take just about any tool of axe, which is basically a 14, 15 degree with moderate relief behind it, like less than 15th thou, and then just strengthen the edge by rounding it a little bit naturally. And that round edge is strong enough to withstand the glassiness or the hardness of the timber. However, you could not use a typical white pine axe or a typical aspen axe in any of the timbers in Australia other than their cottonwood, or perhaps some of that hot air they cut up in Queensland, flame tree and the other stuff you see people cutting in 7/8. And that type of wood is kind of irrelevant. I also think that the wood that they cut, that one pine, would be similar to what axes we would use here too. However, hoop pine, I believe, is what it's called. It's a little bit firmer than our stuff, but it's just like our red pine. Same species of timber by the visual acuity of it. But anyway, we'll have some fun today. Let's go get it. We start out with the black DMT. These are all diamond machining technology stones. The black one, the coarse one is the blue one, the medium one is the red one, and the fine one is the green one. And then I use this Lansky one, it's a bit more different than these, but the idea behind diamond stones is that they're flat, and even though the diamonds may wear off, it still is flat. And then do the finish work. This is a Norton. These are very valuable stones. Red side is the coarse side, start out with, and then finish with the black. And then I use a Spyderco ceramic stone, which I'll find here in a little bit. And here we go to start out the shenanigans for today.
Same view, 3 hours later. Most of it done. I got all those. I got to saw in half and then split, and then a few more of the dead bones. But good God, I'm exhausted. This old guy's exhausted. About 3.5 hours of intermittent wood splitting combined with working on or rubbing up axes. Rubbing up axes is something I got to condition myself for, because when I go to Melbourne, a good majority of my time, I'd say a couple hours a day, will be rubbing axes. You got to strengthen those edges down there, and the only way you can do that is by stoning them. That's the only way you're going to be able to get them to stand up to that type of wood. And slowly but surely, one of these days I'm actually going to do some training again. I'm hoping that I might be able to train on Thursday of this week. And then Christy and I will leave on Friday to head down to Blackstone for the Virginia Lumberjack Championships. I have to wait and see what happens. But tomorrow I'm going to go into the gym and I'm going to test my adductor on my left leg, do some squats, do leg extensions, maybe some lunges, and then a series of curls and extensions and hyper extensions, glute ham raises, etc. And then on Wednesday I'll come in and do an upper body workout that's concentrating on shoulder stability and shoulder strength. And then Thursday come out to the farm and split a little bit of wood, all the while working about 8 to 10 hours a day at least. With the exception of Friday, I'm going to try and get out of Charleston by noon so I can get down to Blackstone to visit with my extended family, my first cousin Marty and his wife, and their Scooter and his sister, and all of their families, etc. Yeah, I've never met Sylvie, which is Scooter's little, just looks as right as he is, little girl. So I'm very curious to meet this lovely young lady. So here we go. It's going to be a fun week. Let's have a good one. Happy Labor Day, folks.